This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. There's no reason to use a cheap disposable razor or pay a ridiculously high price for some gimmicky, unnecessary nonsense. Make the smarter choice and join Dollar Shave Club, the key to getting a fantastic, high-quality shave at an affordable price. And right now, they're giving away a 1-month trial of any of their razors for just $1. And again, it's the Dollar Shave Club with free shipping. So here's the deal. I've been looking good. I've been, cleaning up. I like my beard. But you got to clean up the little upper side, the lower side, a little lower east side. It's all that stuff. There's no long-term commitments, no hidden fees, and you can cancel whenever you want. You can get your $1 trial at dollarshaveclub.com/kinda. That's dollarshaveclub.com/kinda. Get your shave on. That's not their actual tagline. I just feel like it should be. Second topic of the day.
Yeah.
Zelda. Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still going to talk about it. Because
People
guess
want
what?
that, like-
we're still playing it. People are loving it. You guys are still playing it. There's so much in this game.
Have you beat it this yet?
I have not
Did I beat
it
this?
yet.
Did you beat this yet?
Let's do the update here.
Okay.
I have not beat it. I am at Hyrule Castle on my way to the final boss.
Okay.
So it is going down soon.
Okay.
Where you at, Greg?
I am 33 shrines in. 2, 4, 6, 8 hearts. Nearly 2 full stamina meters. And I have 5 of the little things to pay the goddess. What do they call them? Triforce? Gems? I don't even know.
Orbs.
What do they call them? I got 17 seeds. Still have no fucking idea what to do with these
The
things.
Korok seeds?
Haven't run into anybody asking me about those. And 2,200 rupees.
Okay, cool.
I've beaten the elephant.
Beaten the one divine beast down.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick,
Yes.
what about you?
I don't know. I think I'm 4 shrines in, and I'm probably only all told about 3 to 4 hours into the game. I played it on the way back from PAX East on the plane. It's super fun. I was very surprised because normally when I hear people talk about Nintendo games, I just always have to take it with a grain of salt because I feel like everyone that loves Nintendo gives it an extra like 20% love, So with this one, I'm like, no, everyone's not fucking around. This game is legitimately really, really good.
I'm so happy you tried it, and I'm so happy you like it.
Yeah.
Because my fear when you were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take the Office Switch and I'm gonna jump in and play it. My concern was that I don't get me wrong, I love it. I love Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild is so like, fuck off and do
off.
it. Go and do it.
gonna tell
Figure
you
it
what
out.
to
I
do.
thought that might be frustrating.
It was frustrating at first, and the controls were incredibly frustrating. I'm still toying around with the idea of moving my jump button because I just can't stand the fact that it's one of the main controls for the paraglider, and that extra second just kills me every time I jump off of anything to get over to it. But it's the same experience I've had with every Zelda game I've played prior to that, which is you get to it and you have to just kind of take a breath and like understand that they're almost reteaching you how to play games when it comes to this stuff. Like I always talk about my analog to Zelda was always the last one I played, which I think was Spirit Tracks, but before that was the Phantom Hourglass, which was on the DS, and I hated the stylus controls to it. Hated it. Played 30 seconds of the game, I'm like, this is rubbish, this is trash. But then because all of my friends around were like, dude, you got to give that another shot. Throw out all your misconceptions about what a game's supposed to be. Throw out all the concepts of how the control mechanism is supposed to work, and just go in with an open mind. Finally did. I'm like, this is genius. This is what this whole platform's for. Like the stylus. This is why don't more people do this? I don't understand why all games don't control like this. And that's similar to kind of my experience with Zelda so far, which is that I've gone in with an open mind, thinking, oh god, I'm gonna have to run around and hunt for my own food and cook my own steak and this is all just gonna be a bunch of shit. Like you mentioned Mass Effect emails. I'm like, if there's one thing that I really fucking wish they'd stop putting in games, it's having to read emails. Because I read fucking 40 emails a day at work and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is have to comb through some other person's email. It gives me anxiety. I don't like it at all. It's like another job. But with this, they somehow managed to take all these mundane tasks, like climbing rocks, swimming through things, just shit that you're like, I don't know.
That's what pioneers did, not me.
Well, they took all these tasks and they took the mundane aspect out of it and gave you more of a sense of adventure and spirit with it. So it almost feels like you're not even playing a game. You're just kind of roaming around this world, seeing what's around the next corner. And I like that. It does a good job of moving the story along just enough for me to be I forget where I was. I was trying to get to this chest, but I don't have enough stamina. But there's just a chest, and at some point in the second area that you go into, it's floating out in the middle of a
Well, keep in mind,
pond.
The second area you go into is the final area. You start off with the Great Plateau.
Right.
You get off that. That's like the tutorial area.
Right.
After that, it's just the giant.
It's just the
world.
area. Yeah. So I mean, there's like, there's I forget what it was. I climbed up to the second tower to unlock the map for the area. And as I'm looking around, I look down. I'm like, there's another cool little camp that I don't even know what that looks like, right? And I want to go down, and I want to so it did what it needed to do in that. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still wanting to get back to it. When I had to put my Switch away to get off the plane, I was sad. And I didn't like that. And like it has a lot of great moments already, and I'm only there 3 hours into the game. Like I was running around, and all of a sudden the fucking rock monster from Galaxy Quest attacked me, and I was like, what? Where did this thing come from? And I tried. You saw me. I tried for a good 30 minutes to beat this thing, and finally he just grabs me by the shoulder and he's like, "No, you don't have what it takes to beat this thing." At
you
this
have
point.
a tree branch. Get away from it.
And I'm like, okay, I'll go. I honestly thought I was gonna hate. One of my other big pet peeves is when your weapons break in games. I can't stand that. It was one of the reasons why I didn't play Fallout, because I was like, oh, I have a cool rifle. And it's like, this is a rusty rifle. It's got one, and then it blew up in my hand. I'm like, fuck this. I'm done with this game.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to rebuild everything. It's similar to why I stay away from games like Far Cry or Horizon. I'm just like, I don't need to fucking take the shrub and put the other shrub together to make the elixir that's going to heal me a quarter of a heart point. But for some reason, I just enjoy it in this game. And I think that, I assume the game's going to get harder and harder, and I can always see what's going. But your criticism of it, I think, was one of the things I think is strongest, which is that I love that it doesn't hold your hand, because it makes you want to get out there and explore more and figure it out. Granted, I climbed that fucking mountain up to the third shrine like 15 times before I realized you could fast travel to it. They tell you that that's my fault for not paying attention.
Sure, of course.
But also, I just found myself doing these things over and over again. So I'm like, I probably burned a good 2 hours, where a little hint would have been like,
and see that
nice.
That was the thing I was telling Tim about when we went to PAX East, right? First, and I've said this on a few different things, but like having, I've never had a 6-hour flight go faster, where it was playing. Okay, I got up to go to the bathroom and the battery's about to die, so I plug it in. Oh shit, we have 3 hours left in this flight, and then play, oh, we're landing.
Yeah.
And like that was great, but when we landed and I came off, I was like so dejected, and I was just like, I feel like I made no progress. I'm like, I beat the elephant,
right.
I beat the divine beast, but I thought for sure I was gonna knock out like 5 more shrines, 10 more shrines, do all that stuff, and I found like one, and then I got involved in this, and there was a thing of like where I had to ask him like, what am I missing? Because I've been running around this room for 20 minutes trying to figure out how to fucking open this door. Like why can't I get this water wheel to spin? And you're like, oh, well, you can do this. You're just not thinking the right way. And that's the thing of like when the game is so open, and you can do so many things and do them in any different permutation, that I was like, oh, I can't open this door yet, but clearly I'll do that way later. And it was totally an easy thing that I was like, oh,
yeah,
fuck,
I had the same issue in the third shrine, or depending on how you do the shrines. I guess it was the third shrine. Actually, it was probably the second shrine for most people, where you have to move the rock. And I was like, I don't understand how to move this rock.
Stasis.
I don't know why. Like I hit it with stasis, and I'm like, nothing's happening to it.
Yeah.
And I missed. I think some level on my subconscious remembered that there was a tip at some point that said if you hit things while in stasis, all the power builds up. So I finally figured it out, but it took me about an hour. Like I explored that whole thing, almost beat it, and then went and did the shrine up in the ice level in the plateau. First did that and was like, okay, I figured that out. But even that, like figuring out how to get up to the damn thing, and you're like, I don't understand. Like the heat meter is just one thing that it tells you one time, and you're like, that's not something that I would have really paid attention to.
Well, that's the brilliance of this game, is everything that you've done on the Great Plateau. That is everything you need to know for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's a tutorial.
So it's like, but as you go through that, it's like, it's different than other games where it's like, all right, you said earlier, it's like, oh, I'm sure like it gets harder as you go or whatever. The game really doesn't get harder as you go. It
enemies have more hit points. And stuff like
and
that.
things like that. But I mean, at the same time, like that just holds you back. It's not like the game gets harder as you play through, because if you go to one section before another, then the enemies have lower hit points. Or like, okay, this area has more electricity shit going on. Or this area has more ice shit going on in terms of the enemies that you're facing. But really, you can kind of tackle it however you want. And all you need to know is how to use stasis, how to use magnesis or whatever the fuck it's called, your bombs.
The water,
and,
the bombs.
Yeah, the water thing. It's like those tools will help you do anything in the game. Like I'm now... essentially I've beaten the game. Like the boss is like the only thing really left in terms of the main story. I'm 40 something shrines in, 43 I want to say.
Jesus.
I beat all 4 divine beasts. I have a lot of the like cool fun armor and shit like that. But I'm finally going to face the boss. But I've seen a lot of what the game has to offer, and it amazes me that most of the shrines and most of the puzzles and stuff are all things that it's like, yeah, you can totally have done that from the beginning of the game. And I think the only shrines that would give you real issue from when you first started are the ones, the test of strength.
The Guardians.
Where you have to fight the
Yeah,
Guardians,
yeah.
where they really destroy you. But now I'm playing, I'm like, wow, I'm one hitting these guys.
Yeah.
And it's just because you get better weapons. But even then, you could have, in the beginning of the game, had I not went this way and went that way, I would have had a better weapon and that would have been fine.
Yeah, which way do I have to go to get a better weapon? Because
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways. And that's what's cool. Is
so you never at any point, like, I mean, actually, I don't want to spoil it for people, but like, do you ever get the weapon? Like,
Well,
do you
so
ever
here's
get
the
a
thing. I
weapon
think-
that doesn't fucking break?
At this point, I think we should move into spoiler conversations because like people have played this game
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And I
Spoilers, the Master Sword is in the game.
yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
Is that something you have to come across, or are you given it?
so I got it last night. I
I'm gonna
got
Google that shit right now.
I got the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield.
Yeah, shield.
The Master Sword I sought out, and I sought it out based on clues and tips that every Divine Beast area has like kind of led to. Like every single one talks about, oh, like there's this the legendary sword or whatever, and it's in this area. So I knew where it was, and I go there, and like having played other Zelda games, I kind of had an idea of, all right, it's going to be in the Lost Woods. All right, I'm going to need to figure out how to navigate these magical forests that like
So you don't get kicked to the entrance again.
do weird shit that
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm like, all right, cool. And doing it, I was like, I was very satisfied with the puzzle that they had to figure that out, and going there, it wasn't frustrating, it was satisfying like many of these puzzles are. But then when I got the sword, it felt very underwhelming.
Really?
Like the moment I was like, oh man, I wanted that to be way more epic than it was.
Gotcha.
And it was interesting that like you don't need to even do that. Like I could have just went to Ganon and been fine with it. And what was even more surprising to me was the shield. Granted, there might be that shield in a different place that is a bit more of like a holy shit, here's the moment. Yeah, but the way I got it was really just I wasn't looking for it.
Really?
I just went and fought some guy, and I'm like, oh shit, you dropped the shield.
And it doesn't break. Is that the deal with it?
So the thing with the shield, I'm not really clear on whether or not it breaks. I think it does.
Okay.
It's strong.
Okay.
The sword you can use and it doesn't break, but it kind of you need to recharge it after a while.
Okay.
So it's like you can use it for a while, and it's like the old Zelda games where when you can shoot out
You
things
have
like
full
using
health,
R
full
and
health,
yeah, it shoots. But after a while, if you use it on normal enemies, you have to wait. I think it's like 10 minutes or something.
Gotcha.
Like it felt like 10 minutes. It might have been 15. It might have been 5. Before you can use
5
it again.
seconds.
But you can use it against any Ganon, any enemy that has the like that gook kind of coming off
okay,
of them.
yeah, yeah.
You
Stuff.
can use it against them without it breaking.
Interesting.
So-
see, here my problem is this: is that I obviously love Zelda. We all love Zelda. Everyone loves Zelda. What I love about Zelda is the exploration and is going and do all this stuff. But I felt like on the plane that I wasted so much time. But it wasn't a waste of time because I enjoyed it and I did all that stuff. But it was that thing of like running around the village talking to people. I'm like, well, what? And then like the side quests that I had are just like, the quests I have are just like fucking fight the beast. You're like, all right, well, I know there's one in the desert, but I keep melting and I'm not sure how to get through that yet. And I eventually figured that out. I think on the way home or whatever, did it if it's not there. But it's to the point that like, I really want that Master Sword. And like I was looking at IGN yesterday for the news stories for the morning show, and like they had like, here's how to get the best armor. And I was like, oh fuck. And I clicked on that, and then it was just like a giant table of all the armor. I was like, oh well. I thought you were gonna tell me point by point. And then I was like, but do I want to know? Like, do
Yes,
I want
I
to
do.
know where the
I
Master
wanna
Sword
know.
is?
I know. I want that
that's
shit
the thing
right
is,
now.
I do think that
I
with
want
this
whatever
game,
free armor is going to allow me not to have a fucking torch every time it gets a little breezy.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of those though. And I think that's what's cool about the game is when you do play it the way that it was designed, you kind of find these things out.
Yeah.
Like from talking to random people, it might right now, it's like, oh, it's a bunch of shit that I don't need to know. But later you're going to be like, oh, that conversation I had, it does have to do with this. And I feel like it's very natural. And I found myself, I saw an article on Kotaku that's like, try to play this game without fast traveling as much as you do. If you know where you need to go, try just going there. Because on the way there, you're going to find a whole bunch of shit
Yeah.
that you're going to want to
I'm
do.
assuming also at some point you get a horse, right?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
there's a whole bunch of horses. But you don't need
I
to
keep,
use
I keep
I don't
whistling
use
for
the
shit
horses.
and nothing comes to me.
Yeah,
So,
you just stand there whistling.
I
No,
keep
yeah.
hitting the down on D-pad. It's like, and it's
Shout
like,
out,
oh, you're
shout out
sad.
to Jason Schreier. He has a great post up on Kotaku that is not spoilery, and here's what you should do if you're playing Zelda. And it was one of those things of going through it, and like I'm doing most of it, and there's things I'd never seen before. I was like, oh, all right, that's awesome. And like it was making I saw Miles Luna tweet it yesterday, and then Carbonia retweeted it. And I think then I saw it in Shrire's thing of like, if you have a rusty sword, you can throw it into the Octo or whatever, and they'll spit out a non-rusty sword. And like, that's fucking cool.
My favorite meme going around is somebody took the cover art of the game and they replaced Zelda with "I didn't know you could do that."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Because
I mean, because and that's what I was talking. I think Alana was, or no, it was Lucy O'Brien maybe talking to Alana last night. But Lucy had said something to that effect, and I tweeted on me, she's like, I'm the number of times I'm like, well, logically this. Oh fuck, this works. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm so used to video games not doing what you think they should do. Like, oh, this is how this would easily go.
Yeah.
And like, no.
I mean, things like, all right, you're cold, but you have a flame sword. If you have the flame sword equipped, when he puts it on his back, it keeps him warm.
Coffee. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like shit like that. Whenever you think this should work, it does. Like if you see a string and you're like, I could probably cut that down somehow. If you throw a sword at it or arrow it, it's gonna.
The first time,
thing.
the first shrine I got to, that had like drawbridge up, and I was like, those ropes probably should cut. Oh, they cut. Nice. That was fucking right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love being rewarded that way. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And it is the thing though where it's like, well, only women can come into this area or whatever, so you can't go further. And I'm like, fuck. I got to cross dress at some point. I got to get some bomb ass girl outfit. I'm looking at every shop and I'm like, this hair kind of looks like girl hair, and I bought it. I'm like, it's not. I'm like, damn it, I just spent rupees on that for no reason.
Yeah. So
I don't need to be stealthy.
I love that everyone I'm talking to, there is no consensus on what the order is of how you're supposed to go through the divine beast. So that's super cool.
Well, that's the thing too. Of like, I mean, I know they're in there. I've already seen one in the desert, but I still don't know where the Gorons are. Still haven't run into them, other than the one at the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, for me, Gerudo, where the desert one, like, I did that last, and I would swear that is supposed to be the last one that you do. I will say, to be a little bit critical of the game, like now that I've played so much more of it, I still think that it is like a 10 out of 10. But I do think that there's a lot of issues. One of them being it rains way too damn much. It was cute in the beginning, but now when I'm trying to get things done, it's really annoying to have to just wait.
Yep, that was the first one that happened to me, where it was the second time I needed to get the blue flame in the second place or whatever. I know you can do them in any order, so who knows? But when it was, I was like, all right, great. And then I was like, I looked down, I saw the rain coming. I'm like, come on, God, fuck. Yeah. And I did it, and then I just like kicked rocks around for a while and walked around. And like, you're climbing.
You can't walk around during the rain?
You can.
No, I need like a torch.
He had a torch, so and you can't climb. I mean, you can, but like you start sliding a lot, and like when you're trying to climb a big mountain, you're running out of stamina. It's not good.
It's bad luck.
So it gets kind of annoying for that type of stuff. But that was an issue. And the other thing is, I love the pacing of this game, and I love the divine beasts and the setup of that. I feel like it's a really good way to develop those characters and have like with the voice acting and stuff. It always felt special. Like you know what you're getting into with you meet the dude, you meet the culture of this area, you have like a fun kind of more gimmicky, here's something different than the rest of the game. Now you're doing a more typical dungeon. Now here's a boss fight. But my problem is it was so samey between the four because it's you can do it in any order that you want, that it got kind of weird where there's a lot of lines of dialogue that are centered around like, hey, you're gonna do this, and then once you like I'm trying not to spoil things, but like they say things that are like, hey, if you do this, then we'll do this for you. And then once you hear that 4 times, I'm like, I know.
Yeah,
like,
I know
I've already seen your friends do it. Yeah. You know? So that got kind of, it felt wrong to me. It felt like that was kind of an oversight, and I don't know what the real solution would be, but maybe adjusting the game as it goes. Like some of the dialogue options would have been cool. Because most of the stuff's not VO, it's all text-based shit. So
yeah, I feel like they don't have a choice with that though, because the thing is, it does reward you for playing it any way you want. Like that might have been the first time in some instances that people encounter that, you know. You also have to just kind of make sure people do know what they're doing. So I get that.
No, for sure. It's just like it does get, especially once I noticed it at the third one where I was like, all right, this is kind of weird. And then once I got to the fourth, I'm like, really? But again, minor complaint. But my bigger issue with the Divine Beasts in particular is I thought the Gerudo one was a real step down. It wasn't like Water Temple Ocarina status where I'm like, this is fucking annoying. But I thought the other 3 are so brilliantly designed, and every moment of them was fucking awesome. The Gerudo one has things about it that are cool, but it was a drag playing through it. Like playing a lot of the other ones, I was like, there was moments I was frustrated, but whenever I figured it out, I was like, fuck yeah. With this one, I was like, I haven't figured out. It's frustrating to do.
Yeah.
You know,
is that because of the control scheme, or is that just because just not a fun boss to fight?
All the dungeons have like a different kind of gimmick to them, like a different mechanic that they add on top of the
dungeons
mechanics.
are different than shrines.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I haven't got to a dungeon.
Yep,
then.
it's
you'll know.
You'll know.
Okay.
But it's
you'll know.
Yeah, it's very clear. But anyway, again, that's just such a minor complaint because it's so good. And even the camel one was like, all right, like it's not horrible.
What, you get a camel?
What's it? You don't get a camel, but you.
Do you at any point get to buy and ride a camel?
No.
That would
But
have taken this game up to 11 for me.
You can sand surf with walruses.
Yes.
Close second.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Close
that
second.
shit was another one of those really frustrating moments. Where I'm like,
Really?
This isn't fun to control.
Oh my god, I had a great time with it. I loved it.
Well, you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
You
I'm
know
gonna
more
stop
than
it
me.
there.
You know more than me. of course.
But anyway, that's our updated Zelda conversation. Spoilers are now stopping for
Yeah.
anybody listening or watching or whatever.
Do we have to do this
Who
again?
knows? Yeah, nobody's paying attention to that. That was the thing where I was like, as I talked about it in the Mass Effect review or whatever, that I came around now. But having already played the beginning of Mass Effect and then playing it again that night, it was just like, I could be playing Zelda right now. Like, I got to do this. I mean, I want to play Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect. I'm excited to see where this goes, but I could have been doing this.
Right now, you get the choice.
Yeah.
Any game you want.
For the rest of my life?
No, just right now.
Oh, Patapon HD. Give me some. Where's it at? Give me that Patapon.
Wow,
Where's that
okay.
Patapon at?
Never mind.
Where's Infamous? What's Cole up to?
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you like games content, make sure you click here to subscribe to Kind of Funny Games. And you like movies and comic books and food and other lifestyle stuff, you should click right here. Subscribe to Kind of Funny, our other channel. It's fantastic. And if you want to give us money, click here or here.